Let's talk a little bit about what didn't happen this weekend, Horwat, because a lot of people were expecting some trades. And like I said, there was a trade. The Connor Clifton trade. Blockbuster, if Blockbuster ever was. But Bryan Rust, Rickard Rakell, Erik Karlsson, as of this recording, and things can change, still members of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And I think things will be changing soon. I bet you will all hear this episode before things do change. But man, I'm going to start with Karlsson on this. Suddenly, Vegas is down a very big name defenseman with Pietrangelo being out for the year. Can Kyle Dubas offer you a slightly used and discounted? I'm sure
there's
Kyle
no retention slots as of right now.
I'm sure Kyle wouldn't mind discounting some of this deal. And Erik Karlsson, which, I mean, if Vegas is also, I mean, if the reporting is also to be true, they're big game hunting on Mitch Marner. So, hey, Erik, we know you have the say here on where you're heading. Vegas is getting Mitch Marner. You're going to take the place of Alex Pietrangelo, at least for a year, likely for a couple. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a good deal for you. That sounds like a good place for you to go to. The place they already have Jack Eichel, Mark Stones will maybe be healthy. They're keeping William Karlsson around.
Hey,
you played a season with Riley Smith. Did you like that? Do it again. I think that would be, at least for Erik Karlsson's sake, if he was to do it, sounds like a pretty good scenario to go to.
Listen, he wanted to go compete when he came to Pittsburgh, and it didn't work out. There's a place that's only competed. Like every season that they've existed, they've competed, and that's Vegas. So if there's a place to go for that, it is in Nevada, in the desert, plus no state tax, which, that's a big thing, I guess.
That's a big thing, apparently.
So the question I'll ask, and I'm guessing I know the answer to this, are you surprised that a deal didn't get done during this draft for one of these three guys?
No, seeing what Dubas did with these draft picks, I'm not that surprised.
Not only that, the market didn't seem hot, did it? Leading into the NHL draft. Obviously, Noah Dobson, 2 firsts, and Emil Heineman, that's crazy, but this is a guy that was putting up video game numbers last year. But, I mean, Zegras for Paling, a 2nd and a 4th.
Woo.
JJ Peterka went for Michael Kesselring and Josh Doan. It felt like the market was firmly kind of in the camp of the buyers. And if it's not going to be good, why trade away a guy like Bryan Rust, right?
Add on John Gibson, and it was very much trades of, these are guys that just want Trey to do it now.
Yeah.
That's all that it was leading up to the draft. Now, post-draft, it's going to be, all right, let's actually make some hockey moves here. Bryan Rust could be among them. Buffalo might still be involved in that for that good old Rust-Sucker reunion that I cannot wait to see. There, I'm going to give the 2 cents. I think Buffalo is a great destination for Bryan Rust. I mean, I know we know hockey players want to continue competing, but Bryan Rust has 2 Stanley Cup rings. He's had his 30-goal season. Collect some friendship points, go back to Buffalo, and maybe build something great there. Honestly, like maybe things finally turn around while Rust and Zuck are there. That could be something really fun to look forward to. I say, at least for me, Buffalo fits the best for him.
I'll say this. I still think the value of Bryan Rust on the team is something that I would have to be blown away by. But considering where Buffalo is expected to be next year, an unprotected first, Bowen Byram, and a Melvin Fernstrom level prospect will get me to the table.
Yeah.
Because an unprotected first in next year's draft
Yeah.
Is giving you another kick at the, especially if it's from Buffalo, it's giving you a kick at the can at Gavin McKenna.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm hunting right now, because, you know, you have the 13 prospects now. You're hoping they kind of develop over this next year. And then you're hoping you can maybe swing McKenna in here and try to get as many opportunities in that lottery as possible. An unprotected first from Buffalo is about as clear cut as an opportunity at that first overall pick as you can get.
Yes, absolutely. If any team, not just the Penguins, if any team gets an unprotected first from Buffalo in a trade this upcoming offseason, who's the GM up there? I forget.
Kevin Adams.
Kevin Adams needs to be fired into the sun immediately.
I mean, look at the Peterka deal. You should have got more back. I like Josh Doan. I think Michael Kesselring has proven that he's a decent NHL defenseman. But for JJ Petarka, I understand you're trading him without a contract, but you had to know that contract was going to get signed.
Yeah, but also again, it felt like just trades of dudes who don't want to be in the place they're in.
Yeah,
and we know Bryan Rust wants to be here in Pittsburgh, so that could be another reason why it just didn't take off yet. Is just the market at the moment was people that don't want to be in their places right now.
Not to mention, Bryan Rust does have a full no trade clause for another 2 days.
Oh yeah, I guess that could do it too. That being said,
again, I still would probably prefer to keep Bryan Rust if you could. You're never going to get that kind of value for Rickard Rakell, but not that kind of value. Not an unprotected first, a Bowen Byram, and a Melvin Fernstrom level prospect.
Yeah.
But I would rather keep Bryan Rust on the team. I still firmly stand behind that, what I said a couple weeks ago. But man, you just look at the draft next year and you think, if you can start, like, you didn't have to trade any of these guys to come away with 3 first-rounders this year. If you can start utilizing these types of guys and then, of course, add some in the course of free agency that could turn into higher draft picks, you could have back-to-back drafts where you seriously bolster the future of your organization through just kind of like a flash rebuild where you got 13 picks one year and potentially a couple of very high leverage picks in 2026.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. There could be some really big swings for draft picks coming down the line. Listen, if you're Buffalo, there's no reason to deal away your first round pick. There's not. Like, that's kind of why I'm with you in this sense. Like, I think Buffalo makes a lot of sense for Bryan Rust just on paper. I don't know. I just don't see a first round pick getting dealt out of Buffalo just because of the Gavin McKenna of it all. Again, fire the whole organization into the sun if teams like the Sabres, Sharks, Blackhawks, Penguins, I mean, they won't, but Penguins, or any other bottom feeder team, if they trade away an unprotected first, fire the GM immediately. There's no need for that this upcoming draft. And that goes for Buffalo too. I think you could still get a solid deal done with a second round pick for with Bryan Rust involved and some of those other pieces you mentioned. Again, it isn't the big swing of a first rounder digging for McKenna, but it's a bit more of what we just saw the other day of just number of picks, just lottery tickets. If it's worth anything, teams continue to prove you don't need a player like Connor McDavid to win a cup. You don't quote unquote need a player like Gavin McKenna to win a cup, possibly. Some of the best players in this league, it takes a long time. It's not easy. The Penguins have just been blessed with Sidney Crosby.
And it has to be in the right place. Sam Bennett, was he a superstar? Was he an $8 million player before he got to Florida? Sam Reinhart, talking about Buffalo, was Sam Reinhart a superstar, pay him all the money type of player? No, he wasn't. Matthew Tkachuk was, but not to the level that he has been in Florida.
He was an entertaining star. He was pure entertainment value.
He was mostly rat, also star. Now he is superstar with a little bit of rat tendencies, and he's in the perfect place. So it is not just, sometimes it takes time. It's also sometimes it takes finding the right spot. So it's not all about the first round 1.1 to change your organization. That's just been the path for the city of Pittsburgh over the past 40 years. So I'll say this. Yeah, Bryan Rust, Rickard Rakell, and Erik Karlsson. Of those 3, by the time we record next Sunday, how many of them will have been dealt?
Karlsson's going to take a while. Again, I've been saying that for a while. If he gets moved, it's going to take a while because it took a while in the first place. There hasn't been a lot of discussion around Rakell, so I could see that one going first, just to continue with Kyle Dubas' trend of, hey, everyone's distracted by Erik Karlsson and Bryan Rust. Rickard Rakell has been dealt to the Los Angeles Kings. Yeah, I just threw a team out there. I think they might be a team involved, but I just fired a team out there. So I could see Rakell going first. I also wouldn't be shocked if Rust started the year on the team, to be so honest.
So let me expand it a little bit, because I think next week is a little crazy considering Tuesday's the opening of free agency.
Yeah.
If in a couple of weeks, like let's say the end of July, how many of these 3 will have been dealt? Because at that point, the first wave of free agency is over, the second wave of free agency is over, and teams have a pretty good idea of what their salary cap picture is going to look like. And if they have the flexibility to add on a big guy or a big contract in Erik Karlsson.
I'm going to continue sticking on just one, and that being Rakell.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think Rust could start the season on the year. Maybe that's a deadline move. And like I said, everyone's distracted by Rust and Karlsson right now. And I just think the Karlsson is just going to take time. Like, I think there will be at least a week of insiders reporting and updating on a Karlsson situation. Like,
on what yard line it's on?
Yeah, we'll get the first inkling of the Penguins have approached him. Oh, there's the first story. Then 2 days will go by and it'll be, here's the number of teams calling. 2 more days will go by. Erik Karlsson's mulling it over. Like, that's how it's going to go. It's going to be a slow burn. So I could see that one lasting through into August. And if it's Vegas, maybe that goes a little quicker, but
yeah, because Vegas doesn't have reservations about who they're trading away. They never do.
No.
I think it'll be 2 by the end of July.
2? All right.
I think it'll be 2. And honestly, I think Karlsson is it's a timeline thing, but I would be surprised if Erik Karlsson is on this team when training camp rolls around in a couple of months. And then I think it's going to be one of Rust or Rakell. And honestly, I think it's going to be Rickard Rakell. I think Kyle Dubas holds both in very high esteem, but I think he just holds Rust. There's a reason Rust has worn a letter whenever there's been a vacancy for a letter. And I think that is something that is held very close in that organization, is the value of Bryan Rust. So I think it's going to take a crazy package. And again, an unprotected first in the McKenna sweepstakes is what I think it gets the ball rolling. And then I think it has to be another substantial piece, and then probably another lottery ticket at the tail end of it. So I might be crazy. I might be overvaluing Bryan Rust, but everything that we've seen up to this point makes it seem like Kyle Dubas holds Bryan Rust's value at a very high level, and he's not budging. He didn't budge at the trade. He couldn't, because Rust had a full no move clause, but he didn't budge at the trade deadline for Rakell. He hasn't budged to this point with Bryan Rust, and we'll see if and when things change once Rust's no move clause walks out the door.